guys. We are here. We are live. What is up, everybody? All right. It looks like sound is good. We are good. What up? Woo! Are y'all? Whoa! What a week, y'all. Man, what a week. How are y'all doing today? Welcome back to my weekly live stream where we go over all the lovely, sexy stuff that is of camera gears and camera news throughout the week. And yeah, this week is a lot. So we got a lot to go into and a lot of things to talk about. If you guys are here in the chat, let me know you guys are here and let me know where are you chiming in from. And also let me make sure my audio is good. All seems to be good here. But man, yeah, so a lot to talk about. I'm going to just go right up ahead in front and just say, since I already covered the Canon C50, we're not going to talk about it because, like I said, I already covered it. And there's so many things, including things that are just like even broke today and even was breaking as I was like putting the stream together. So there's a lot to go through as it is. So I'd rather cover the stuff that I haven't covered yet. So we're going to be talking about the Nikon ZR and sort of go how it feels with both the C50, but also in lines with, of course, the Sony FX3, which Nikon themselves said this is sort of the camera that's sort of its competitor. We got to talk about the Fujifilm Eterna 55. It's got its official name now, the Eterna 55. It is Fujifilm's, not only Fujifilm's first true digital cinema camera, it's their first medium format digital cinema camera. We got a price. We now know exactly what it's going to come with. So we're going to discuss that. How does that stack up? Where is it going to sit? And where does it stack up, say, against the Ursa Cine 17K? Speaking of Blackmagic, we have quite a few Blackmagic news to come with. Some that if you saw my short, you probably already know one of the things, but there's a lot more with Blackmagic that they kind of just came in quietly. They didn't have any like what their typical like live streams where you would sit and watch. They just quietly announced some things, and there's some things that I just heard of that can't wait to break for you guys. And then I think just today we got Aperture announcing the Nova 2. There's a lot, as you can see, and I'm not trying to stay here too long because I'm going to try to stay. We're going to stay and we're going to chat and we're going to have a good time. I've got water to quench my thirst, and I apologize right now. So if you see me throughout the stream at one point cough up a lung, I caught a really bad cold that I've been trying to get over like for the past 2 days. You should have seen me yesterday. I was sounding like Preacher Boy from Sinners. But I'm trying. So I'm doing a lot better today. Hopefully I'm not coughing up my lungs too badly and today. So that, and then I gotta get me and my family. We're gonna go to the movies for a little movie that's coming out. If you see my shirt, you probably can guess the movie we're gonna see. So we're gonna see that tonight as well. So, but that's for a while. That's like 10:30. So we got until then. We got time to hang out and talk about all the goodiness. So let's see who is here. Worried about what I heard. Thank you for joining the chat. What a week. What a week indeed. Yes, there's a lot. Like I said, I gotta say, I've seen a few IBC previews or time when IBC is around, which is basically why all of a sudden all this announcements is sort of kicking in. I don't think I've had these many like hit makers announced at IBC that got people talking, and it was just like back to back to back. Not for a long time. I think the last time it was like this, I think it was when the C500 Mark II, no, it was when the C2, I think it was when the C200 was announced, because that year as well, I think that was the year they announced the S5 II. Sony announced the S5 II, and I think the Evil 1 came out that year as well. Like that was like the last time IBC got like, to me, got like the craziness, especially in the camera section, compared to this time. King Crook, hey, what's up, man? Thanks for joining. Time to trick on some new cameras. Yep. We are on the corner. We are on the corner ready. We are on the corner ready. But once again, thank you guys. I try to do this every Thursday at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That the wind down where things everybody's getting sort of laid off work. Get your favorite drink. You get to chill, get to relax with me for an hour. This case, it may be a couple hours, depending on how it goes. But you guys came here, and I'm happy that you guys decided to join in with me. So let's not waste any time, and let's go ahead and talk about the first big announcement. Obviously, the C50 was like the first thing that kicked everything off. But again, if you're just chiming in, I'm not going to go over the C50 specifically. I will go into the C50 when I start talking about the Nikon ZR, which is coming right up in just a few seconds. But that's only because I have already gave my discussions and my thoughts on the C50. So if you want to see my thoughts on the C50, I have a video already, so go check that out. But let's go ahead and kick off with Nikon's. Well, Nikon came out with two cameras because they came with red. But we're going to talk about the first one, which is the Nikon ZR. And it is a camera that we all heard about, that this was a camera that was going to be sharing a lot of Nikon's technology. But I don't think we were expecting this camera at this price point. I mean, I guess the price point is really the big thing that is the big thing about this. It's the fact that it's essentially 22, depending on where you're at. It's anywhere between $2,100, $2,200, which is for a camera that shoots 6K red raw is insane. That's insane. It's a full frame camera that shoots 6K red raw for $2,200. And given the fact that like the cinema camera 6K full frame, originally it was 26. It was what? No, it was like 20. Yeah, it was like $2,600, and now I think it's closer to like $3,000. But yeah, it was. This is coming cheaper than the cinema camera 6K, and the features that it is having is pretty cool. Like I think as we talk about, we got the red code raw, we got 32-bit float in camera. This is, I think, well, no, the Osmo Pocket had 32-bit internally on the actual Osmo Pocket itself, but this is the first interchangeable lens camera that has 32-bit float audio inside the camera. This is, and which is really, really cool about it. I think this, but then there's some things that it does that I gotta be honest, it makes me, there's some decision makings that they scratch my head. So I actually, if I go over here, give me a second. If you let me go over here a second, I've actually made a slideshow that sort of emphasizes everything that I want to talk about. So if I go to the computer here, and then we'll go into slideshow. But yes, we got the Nikon ZR. Hopefully you guys can see this. And today we're going to be talking about, that's sort of what I want to go in and talk about it. I'll say basically the rundown. We got, again, 6K red raw up to 60 frames per second. It also got in raw. It's got ProRes raw. It's got ProRes. And it does oversampling 4K up to 60 frames a second. 120 frames a second. It goes into a crop mode. Again, 32-bit float audio, and of course, it costs $2,100. But if I got to be honest with y'all, I'm a bit mixed on this, mainly because, again, it's a camera that shoots red raw that's under $2,500. So yay! But then I've seen the videos of the Latitude, and everybody keeps talking about like, oh my goodness, this has this has like 15 stops of dynamic range, and I'm just sitting here going like, where is this dynamic range that everybody's talking about? You know, where am I? You're supposed to be up here. Oh, okay. Anyways, all right. So let me get back here. So, but yeah, there's no the dynamic range that I've seen, and based on Gerald Undunn's video, it's like 10.5 stops. And if you've seen the Latitude that you go through CCP, if I actually cut back, I'm gonna cut back here and show you guys the CCP video. If you guys look at the CCP video, if we go, it was the Latitude performance was like right, where is it? Right here. It does well up to like 2 stops, even up to 3 stops, but then it gets to like when you get to the underexposure, like it hits 2 stops and then it breaks. So it doesn't really have it has a mediocre, pretty solid, okay Latitude performance, and then it has a mediocre dynamic range performance. To me, again, it's not necessarily about the number, but it's the quality of the dynamic range of how it comes out. But 10.5 stops of usable dynamic range, it has like 14, based on Gerald Undunn's video, it's basically like 14 total stops, but 10.5 in red code raw. It's not, obviously it's not the best performing one, so that's the first thing. The other thing for me was the fact that we got a micro HDMI. We got a micro HDMI. I don't understand. I don't understand why the decision was made for that. We got one CF Express card slot, which I could kind of live with, but the fact that it's like right next to the battery is also kind of concerning. Because again, we're talking about red code raw. These CF Express cards tend to get really, really hot, and you're gonna put it next to a battery, which also gets really, really hot. I don't know. This just, look, Nikon clearly has done tests and it's probably where, I just think the placement of where this battery is probably not the wisest. I know Nikon makes their own CF Express. I think it does better with cooling, and it handles like the cooling. It doesn't deal with heat as bad. But that is, again, there's some design decisions that I'm not so sure about. But then you got to look at, say, that gigantic screen, the gigantic screen that you got on it. And I think that's definitely like one of the big things about this guy. Is the screen on this guy, is the screen. Oops. So, and for me, that's one of the big things that I really do appreciate, is the fact that you got this giant four screen that is fully articulated. Blackmagic, I'm not sure if any Blackmagic reps are watching right now, but Blackmagic, if you see, they got a 4-inch screen that's fully articulated. If you could please make the screen fully articulate on the next, if you go with another pocket style body, make it fully articulating. If you can, I would really appreciate it. In fact, make it the multi 5-axis screen as well. I know that would be probably insane, but it would be really, really cool to have that right there. And then, so yeah, and then again, one car slot. So again, I'm mixed, and I think ultimately what makes this such an intriguing camera is the price. It's again, it's between $2,200. So even with like not the best latitude performance, not the best dynamic range performance, you know, with red cover, with that red color science, you now have a camera that you can use for travel. If you go travel places, you can also use it to generate stock footage and get revenue that way. You can put it alongside red cameras in situations that don't press the limits of the camera too much. There's a lot to the ZR, and it's a very interesting camera. Now, we'll see if I can try this again. If I had to choose between the Sony FX3 and the Nikon ZR and the Canon C50, these are some of the pros and cons that I think. With the Nikon, you got red raw and a 2100, 2200 body, which is like unheard of. You've got an easier transition from, if you are someone that was looking to look at cameras outside of Sony, Nikon has the easier transition out of Sony because of that Z mount, was such a short flange distance. You can actually adapt Sony E-mount lenses while also still getting things like autofocus and things like that. So you can get full electronics out of Sony. So you don't have to replace your glass. Like if you were to try to leave Sony for Canon, you got to swap the whole thing out, and it could be a little bit more cumbersome. And then some things, again, dynamic range is a little bit subpar, but also, again, some questionable design choices. With the C50, I mean, you got open gate, you got internal raw, you got a great body design. I think the best thing for me at least, the best thing about the C50 is the body design. It's a design that is just like, mwah, chef's kiss. The only thing, of course, is like I wish the screen was a little bit better. That's just me. I just wish the screen was just a little bit better on the C50. But outside of that, I mean, it is such the body design is great. You got it great. Top out that's beautifully designed. It's got a record button with a zoom rocker on it. It's got two dual card slots that you can record, even though one's CF Express and one is SDs, but you can dual record on certain things, and you get open gate and raw. So that's it. Some downsides with the C50, I think I've talked about this on, say, my friend Simon Yates on Ordinary Filmmakers. I've sort of grown to not necessarily be a fan of C-Log 2 in most situations, because it completely changes how the design of the camera. It changes, not design, it changes how you light and how you approach. And that could be a positive or a negative thing depending on the type of shooter you are. For someone who's very particular about lighting, it actually takes more effort, in my opinion, to actually get a lighting how you want to, especially if you're trying to really go deep and really crush blacks. On production, it's much harder to do that, whereas you have to take a lot of that in post and sort of deal with that. Again, it just changes your thought process. And also, again, I think Canon needs to sort of update their color science and the color space for me. Again, this is a personal opinion with me. The other thing I would say is with Canon C50, it's much harder to switch to Sony. And to me, that is mainly because, A, you can't just use your Sony glass like Nikon. you that's going to be the harder thing to do. But also because the Canon RF system is not as open to third parties as some of the others, it's a little bit harder to just get a fluctuality of different cameras where you not have to go with first priority glass, and it's also the most expensive. But then there is the Sony FX3, plus which I'm gonna be honest, it's definitely showing. These two cameras have kind of really started to show the FX3's age, and it's like, man, yeah, it's really started with question. And I've had people talking then in Sony, they're like, man, I need Sony to update. And if you've been following me, you know I've been telling Sony, I'm like, you gotta put in open gate. I'm like, put in EO zone, put in internal RAWs. I'm like, now literally Sony is the only of the different manufacturers, Blackmagic, Nikon, Canon, Lumix, Fujifilm, they are the only ones now that doesn't have an internal RAW recording option for their cameras. And that's kind of crazy. Well, actually, no, Fujifilm doesn't have it yet. But there is, at least on their mirrorless cameras. The Eterna, which we will get to, I believe, does. But we're going to get to the Eterna in a second. But yeah, so my thoughts on the Nikon ZR is that it is a camera that I think, if you're looking for something that it's going to be for travel, it's going to be a great, I think it's going to be a great option for travel. I think a lot of people are going to enjoy it. Again, if you're someone that is from the Sony ecosystem, it's a much easier transition to Nikon because you can still keep all your glass. And again, but the only thing is that the data that you're going to chew if you're going to shoot red code raw is going to be insane. I believe Gerald said you need over 600 gigs for just an hour runtime, which is that's a lot. So hopefully, Nikon can come with some compression options, but also, again, I've seen it and all the footage that I've seen from, I'm not been impressed with the latitude performance from it. Again, if that's not that big of a deal for you, that's fine. But to me, the latitude performance is not that great. So let's see here. All right. Centrat, hey, what's going on? Thank you for joining, man. C50 has got the least coverage on YouTube. Again, Canon went first. So there's a couple factors to it. One, Canon went first. So they were the first to announce a bunch of things. Two, Canon has this thing where they only reach out to a limited amount of YouTube creators and YouTube influencers. It's really the people that are sort of in their brand, their ambassador brand, and then the retail partners like CVP, Pro EV TV, B&H, Adorama, that really are going to be talking about cameras. And they're not, and a lot of it is not that much up. Whereas Nikon kind of took the direction of, we're going to reach out to a lot more of the various different creators and give a shot of it, because there's a lot of them that are Red owners, and obviously they want to give a shot. So I'll say this: Nikon. I think Nikon just had a better marketing strategy, but also I think Canon just went first. And when you go first, you got to be able to stand everybody else. So that's I think that's the thing with that. The ZR has my interest. It has my interest too, but I also feel like there's a couple things that I'm like, there's some design decisions that it's kind of holding back. To me, the design of the C50 is like perfect. It's almost perfect to me. The design of the C50. Yes, it doesn't have IBIS. I think having no IBIS is a better. Again, there's a division on IBIS or not. I'm on the side typically of I prefer not to have IBIS than have IBIS, but I know that's not the case for everybody. Let's see here. The ZR is going to be a great travel camera for me. The ZR, like I said, I think a lot of people are going to use it as their travel camera, and rightfully so. There's so many different ways and so many options, and it's relatively tiny, and you got a nice big screen. So I'm always a fan of cameras that find ways to just make shooting better. And the number one thing that I think camera manufacturers, Blackmagic got this right for a long while, in terms of this one thing. The other design decisions, it's obviously can be debatable, but Blackmagic got their screens down right. A lot of people could say, again, you can say a lot about the design decisions of their football cameras, as some people call it, and battery lives, but the screens on those cameras are fantastic, especially the newer ones like the Pocket 6K Pro, the G2, 6K G2, the Cinema Camera 6K. Those screens are wonderful, and those are the things that kind of make, again, to me, a good quality screen completely changes the user experience. And I never understand why so many camera manufacturers make that such a less. Well, I kind of do get it, actually. Now I'm thinking about it. It's because, these are cameras that were always designed to be sort of more for stills, and you use your eyepiece. But if we're moving more, so you always focus more on the eyepiece than necessarily the screen. But if you're designing these cameras that are not going to have EVF, at least build a good quality screen. So there's that. What news is there with the Pyxis 12K? I will get to that. I'll get to that. There is some news that came out with the Pyxis 12K, but that's later on the screen. Hold that thought. Hold it. Flash movie trivia. Thank you for joining. So many choices. It's insane. They all look nice. Yes, 100%. Again, I said this at the top of the stream. I think it's been a while since we've had an IBC show that has had so many cameras that have offered so much hype, and the different options. It's been a while. It's been a while, but I'm so happy that we finally get to have it. All right, keep the comments rolling. We're going to move on to the next big news that we got here, and that is the GFX Eterna 55. Not 65, 55. The GFX Eterna 55. This thing is we finally get a chance to see it in full action. So it's going to shoot open gate, but it's going to be downsampled to 4K, which I don't think many of us are too mad about it. Downsampled 4K, I think a lot of us are going to be having. It's going to have the F-Log2C, which has a wider gamma color, which is going to be great, especially for if you're dealing with neons. You get all the different film simulations, which is awesome. So that's really cool. You get to get those Fujifilm aspects. It's going to have a battery that is designed for the GFX as sort of like a safety, safety where if you lose power, you can switch it out. But it's going to be also VMS. You got the electronic variable ND for up to 7 stops, and it's like very, very incremental. So it's like stepless almost. They're going to have the PL mount that comes with it, which is cool. Obviously, you get to get all these different formats and these different options, which is great. This is definitely, I think what a lot of people were hoping for when we started seeing cinema-style bodies, but on a more run-and-gun broadcast style setup. I think Fujifilm has done a really good job. You got screens on both sides, so you got an operator and a first AC, and they can be operated independently, which is amazing. And again, this is the internal battery there where you could hot swap, and again, that's a great thing. And you can also use it to keep the weight down if you want to put it on gimbals. There's a lot to be said about this. Now, you know, they're going to, I think they said this thing is about like 14, 15 stops. Keep in mind, people, this is still the GFX sensor. So if all y'all remember the critiques of the GFX 100, they're all still here. So rolling shutter is not, it's very likely rolling shutter is not going to be its best suit. You're going to have to make a choice between dynamic range or rolling shutter. So especially in open gate, I have a feeling the open gate is going to not have great roll shutter, which is interesting when you start comparing it to the Ursa Cine 17K. But this is still, I gotta say, it's a well-designed, and again, the screen. I think this is they said it's a 5-inch screen. I think they said this is a 5-inch screen. Yeah, a large 5-inch screen. Like, why is this so difficult to get on a lot of cameras? I wish this was done more often. Like, I'm looking even at like something like the C400, the FX6. Why is it so hard to just get a screen when you buy the camera that comes with it? Speaking of buying the camera, you can buy. This is a large format. This is a medium format camera that you can actually buy. This is the second one, obviously with the Ursa Cine 17K being the first. And I believe the price is like $16,500, which I know a lot of people are. If you're in the chat, some of y'all are probably looking at this like, man, that is pricey. And I understand, but also let's keep in mind comparing this to the only other medium format camera that you can buy, which is the Ursa Cine 17K. That is what, $25,000. So this is significantly cheaper. You get to shoot. It has a 4.3 sensor. So if you guys are trying to deliver for social media, so again, spending $16,500 for social media, yeah, hey man, your choice. Go ahead, go for it. But $16,500 for but you can do so. You can shoot tall, but it also helps with anamorphics. I mean, with a 4.3 sensor, you'll be able to take advantage of 2 times than 1.8 times anamorphics. Yeah, this I am very, very intrigued. I'm gonna just say this right now. I have no interest in necessarily getting this camera yet, but I am interested in seeing it and putting, and like maybe renting it out or testing it out in like a rental house or something, just to see how it feels. But kudos to Fujifilm for doing this. All right, so let us go to the chat. Doesn't look like we got any more additional comments unless this thing frozen. Let me just check here. Nope. Looks like. Okay, so we got one. Okay, sorry, sorry, Flash. Your comments, your question, while understandable, kind of got flagged. So, how nice is that? How nice is that body? Yes. Yes, the Eterna works out. That was such a dorky thing. But yeah, go look at that body. Go look at that body. Look, man, I'm old. All right, I get it. I know. So many choices. It's same as before, but yeah, it's a beautiful looking body, and I think it's definitely going to find its place. I can't wait to see what sort of projects are going to be used on it. But let me go ahead and, because again, we got to chug along. We still got so much to cover. So before we move on, I would love to ask you guys, what sounds more interesting for you to try? A Blackmagic Ursa Cine 17K or a Fujifilm GFX Eterna 55? I can see the plus and minus in both. I'll start off with the Ursa Cine 17K. So with the Ursa Cine 17K, one, in terms of just performance, the rolling shutter is definitely better on the Ursa Cine 17K. Way better on that. You're getting higher frame rate options. You're getting you are getting a wider overall sensor than the GFX Eterna, and we'll have to wait till somebody puts more tests to it. But I believe the Ursa Cine 17K, if you care about it, the dynamic range is slightly better, but we shall see. Having said all that, while it is the Ursa Cine 17K is wider, the GFX is significantly taller than the Ursa Cine 17K. It's also cheaper. The Eterna 55 has internal NDs. The Ursa Cine 17K does not, just because of how big the sensor is. Blackmagic didn't design NDs to work with a sensor that size in the Ursa Cine body. So, and also it would be, again, the fact that you have a taller sensor in the Eterna. But I personally say I love the look of the Blackmagic cameras, so I don't know. Let's see what we got in chat. King Kruk said, the Blackmagic 17K for me, post-production should be easier. Yes, it should, because I know the GFX, the Eterna, is probably going to be using a lot of compression, and with the 17K, obviously you get to utilize all that resolution, which you won't. Strangely, even though it's a 100 megapixel sensor on the Eterna 55, you're not going to utilize all of that. So it's clear that Fujifilm has made this camera to be optically designed for people that just want to shoot on a large sensor, but the Ursa Cine 17K has been designed to work with virtual production. So that's a good point, man. So speaking of Blackmagic, we got to go to Blackmagic. Blackmagic did some quiet, very, very quiet announcements yesterday. So yesterday, they announced this new product where, with Apple announcing the iPhone 17, basically Blackmagic announced this new like pod system that is designed to work. Here it is. That's the Pro Dock that's designed to work with like iPhone and work with the iPhone camera, so you can plug that in and sort of get all these professional inputs, which is really cool. It's actually a really cool thing. It gives it it helps it get it more, and you can clearly see that Blackmagic is looking to sees that the iPhone 17K can be used on professional productions, which, if you really think about how insane that sounds, and because keep in mind, Blackmagic, while they do build cinema cameras, Blackmagic is heavily known in the broadcast world. And they're so big and so invested in the broadcast world. You may not notice, but Blackmagic is probably the biggest sponsor of NAB Las Vegas, which is why they always get the big booth. So for them to look at something like the iPhone 17 Pro and think this could be actually used on productions says a lot about where we are right now in terms of just smartphone technology, which is crazy. But it was not just that. If you all saw my reel, this was announced that DaVinci Resolve Studios was updated, and as you guys can see here, it's got a couple things, but one of them, it's right here. Where is it? Where is it? I think it's on the color page. Where is it? Anyways, the point, it's somewhere here. But basically what's new with here, and the big thing is that DaVinci Resolve, after years of not supporting ProRes RAW, DaVinci Resolve now supports ProRes RAW. Which I honestly, if y'all been following me, I didn't think it was actually going to happen. I thought Blackmagic and Atomos/Apple were just going to be just doing their own thing, but I guess the whole red system after Nikon bought Red, it kind of just made all this stuff easier to sort of squander all that and pass this along. So now we get we can now drop video files that are ProRes RAW. So now you can edit ProRes RAW files in DaVinci Resolve. There's also in the color page, where is it? Oh yeah, here it is. Support decoding Apple ProRes RAW clips. Supports it for encoding Samsung APV clips. Support for decoding Sony ARW images. Support for ARRI code clips. So the new ARRI codec. Single frame web and GIF clips are now imported in stills. Yes, thank you. But back to the color page. So there's a new AI base, and this is the big one, cinematic haze. So I actually tried this out earlier today. It's actually interesting. I don't know if I would ever use it, but essentially what it does is if you wanted to sort of, it doesn't do like what hazy does, where it's like it looks like it puts on like a mist filter or something. It actually creates like a haze effect of your scene. It makes it gives like your anonymous. It's like I turn it on and like the default, it's like I went from like being on like having really contrast scene to all of a sudden it seems like Snoop just walked in and started a party in my clip. Like it got really misty, really quick. Or maybe you ran into the Mauricio Tokito of the Mist Hashira for all you Demon Slayer fans. But yeah, so it's a really cool effect, and it's actually pretty decent. It actually like operates. It uses the depth map to sort of create a three-dimensional space with the haze. So it's not like it's just this over. It doesn't feel like an overlay. Like it actually feels like it even sits like behind you. Like the haze is actually behind you, so it lifts everything up behind you, but not as much as if the subject of the depth field that you're in, which is really cool. So there's a couple other things. So if you haven't, again, down Resolve 20.2, I definitely would and give it a try. Now, I did say that there was something involving the Pyxis 12K news. So here, as of today, and this came out just today. So if you guys, I will bring this over. You guys will see right here, there's a new camera setup that basically is like camera 9.9 that adds support for Blackmagic Pyxis 12K. And if you're wondering, well, what's the big deal about that? Typically, when Blackmagic does this, this means that the camera is starting to ship. This is the sign. Whenever you see Blackmagic all of a sudden add support for a new camera that they have, that's the signal that basically it's out of like R&D and it's now in production and it's starting to ship. And I think it's safe to say, I think I can safely say this, but I have a source that has someone that I trust that I can say has told me that they have indeed started to ship the Pyxis 12K. So I'm going to reach out to my contacts at Blackmagic, and I'm hopefully I can try to just get a loaner because I already know I'm not going to get a keeper for this. So The only thing is that I was probably gonna take a couple weeks after everybody else gets it. So for me, I'm kind of debating if I should just outright buy it, just outright buy the Pyxis 12K, and just not worry about the loaner, or just wait for the loaner. So that's what I'm sort of going through. But that's just me. But yes, the Pyxis 12K, and I've got secondary source that has that has told me that yes, the Pyxis 12K has begun to go in production and is starting to ship. So, like I said, that was the big news with the Pyxis 12K. And again, Blackmagic relatively quiet, but there's still having ProRes RAW in Resolve. I think is a pretty substantial news. Now, I don't have anything that shoots ProRes because I've been shooting DaVinci Resolve all this time, so I had no need for it. But I'll definitely, so anybody, especially all you Lumix, if you are a Lumix shooter, I don't know if Trevor's here in the chat. If Trevor's here, I know you can check it out, try to see if you shot ProRes RAW. But anybody that has shot ProRes RAW, you wanted to see how ProRes RAW works in DaVinci, it is now available and is supported. Also, as of today, I think the new Red RAW, because Cam Mackey has been streaming it, the new Red RAW out of the Nikon ZR is also supported in DaVinci Resolve 20.2. So definitely check it out. So, Julian, thank you. Yes, it is. Thank you, for joining my channel. I enjoyed the stream. Simple Light Media, what's up, man? I watched the film they just made with the Eterna 55, and it was very organic, beautiful image. This is the sleeper camera that has my interest. I will say this. Maybe I'll create a post and I'll show this link again. There was a video that I saw, not of the Eterna, but of the original GFX 102, which shares this same sensor. I remember there was a shot that had the highlights were definitely clipped, but the way the highlight rolled to the clipping point, it was gorgeous. It was just absolutely gorgeous how it rolled into those specular highlights. And I literally was blown away, like, oh my God, I was not expecting it to be this good. It looks great. So I expect the same performance out of that. The rolling shutter and some of the interesting options that you could shoot with, maybe some of the things, but overall, I think it's going to be a solid camera, man. So was hoping they were waiting to ship the Pyxis 12K with their new autofocus. I'll be honest, I don't think that's the reason why they waited. I believe the reason why, again, now let me say this. I have not been told this is the reason by anybody. This is just my speculation. So let me just say this. This is pure tinfoil hat. I have not been told by anybody about this. I have a feeling it had more to do with them trying to figure out a way to deal with the CF Express cards because of how much power and how much heat this camera produces. I've had people who worked with the 6K and said that the CF Express got abnormally hot, and that it was actually, and sometimes it may have caused issue. So again, this is just my tinfoil hat. I've not been told anything. I think it had to do with them just trying to figure out how to potentially solve any overheating or any complications with the media cards, and that sort of was the cause for delay. Again, tinfoil hat, my own tinfoil hat, nothing else. So what did I miss? So Bill, you've missed our conversation on the Nikon ZR. You missed our talk about the Eterna. We just got wrapping talking about some Blackmagic, but I think Sam, it's like interesting. He points out the old Blackmagic shoots ProRes 2 have been wanting to try both ProRes and ProRes RAW. So he brings up something interesting, which is the fact that It's only on the Pocket 4K. So it's the Pocket 4K only. But on the Pocket 4K, they did an update where you could actually shoot ProRes RAW on a Pocket 4K, which again is a very interesting choice that they chose a camera that is like 7 years old to put out which I don't even know when I can't even remember the last time they actually did an update to that camera. So, but if you have a Pocket 4K, or if you go find a Pocket 4K, there's an update now for that where it puts ProRes RAW into the camera. So that's a way you can do ProRes RAW. Joey Mayer, thank you, man, for joining. So, did Blackmagic recently pull out an update for autofocus, or are you saying? I think he's just saying he was kind of hoping he was waiting that maybe there was an update for the Pyxis 12K for autofocus. I don't think he was saying that, but he's probably going to answer. But I think he was just talking about it. Said it might be. Look, it is true. Like it's like really, we've only had the single beta of autofocus that we've had, but I don't know. I think they're still way more into research and development with the autofocus. I don't think we're going to see an update on the autofocus anytime soon. I think they're still going to try to tweak it and then roll out more. But like you guys are saying, let's hope so. So, there is. Oh, and there's one more thing. One more thing about Black. I keep saying that's it for Blackmagic. No, there is one more thing with Blackmagic that I also forgot to mention, and that is the fact that the Pyxis 6K is now on sale. The L-mount version specifically, the L-mount version of the Pyxis 6K is on sale for $2,500. So if you haven't seen this yet, yeah, the Pyxis 6K L-mount version is on sale right now for $2,500, which I think is even cheaper than what it was before the tariffs began. So I know this is probably not going to be a lot of people's interest since it's now looking like the Pyxis 12K is starting to ship. But if you, for whatever reason, thought about maybe looking to get a Pyxis 6K, it's now on sale on B&H for $2,500. There you go. I'll try to leave some affiliate links if you want to continue helping the channel out right there. So there was something else. Oh yes. So that's really with cameras. Because again there's still so much, and I'm pretty sure something else just got announced since this stream began. But in terms of the camera announcements, what has been leave it in chat. What has been your favorite camera announcement so far? All of them have been very interesting. All of them have been very exciting and eager and interesting. I think for me personally, it's the fact that the Pyxis 12K is finally shipping. That has been the camera I have been waiting for since they announced the Ursa Cine 12K. Like this, I've been waiting since the Ursa Cine 12K for them to announce this camera. So, and waiting for me to get my hands on this camera. So personally, that's the camera. Knowing that it's finally shipping, that's exciting me. Second to that, I'm going to, as much as the Nikon ZR is, I think I'm feeling the Canon C50 way more. I'm a fan of great body design. I'm a fan of a great body. I love a good body. And wow, that sounded interesting. No, but I'm a fan of just things being put in the right places. I'm a fan of, again, making a camera company or a camera design that makes the shooting experience more fun, more enjoyable. I actually would prefer that over the image, because having a good shooting experience makes me focus more on the creativity instead of just focusing on the technical numbers and things like that. So for me, I think the Canon C50 outside of the Pyxis 12K looking like it's going to ship, I think of the new announcements that we got, the Canon C50 to me is still like my favorite camera announcement so far. But I would love to know what you guys think. And then of course there's been a couple lenses, but these ones I've kind of been very, very interested in. These are the HEKTOR lenses. I don't know, you guys. There's by Leitz. Leitz. I don't know if I'm saying the name right, but I'm a real fan of the design of these lenses. Now these lenses are super expensive. I think they're like 7,600. They're anywhere between I think 7,300 and 7,600 a piece. But man, do they look beautiful. The glass just looks beautiful. So, I mean, but that's Leica and Leitz for you. That is sort of the nature of that, is that their design, they just have a beauty into their design. So, I don't know if I'll actually buy them buy a set. Maybe if I ball enough out and business and not business, but the economy starts looking a lot better, maybe I'll look at maybe just getting one. But I would definitely rent. I would definitely try to look to rent these and sort of give us out just to give a shot, try out. But I mean, look at that. Look at the design of that. Come on, like, is that not schmexy? Like, look how schmexy that is. I think that is a, oh my, look, all right. Like I said, I'm easy to please. A good design, I'm easy to please when it comes to a good design. All right, let's go to chat. Oh, so any guess? Crux asked a certain question. Are you picking up some Leitz Huckins? No, I'm going to be honest. Look, I'll be straight up on the show. I am not in the position to afford a set of these guys. I think the full set is like 40 bands, or like, yeah, over 40 bands. I'm like, I got a mortgage still to pay. So I don't think I'm gonna pick set, but I'll look in terms of if I get a chance to rent them, a project to rent them. Oh yeah, definitely. Let's see here. Dang, I've been praying for autofocus update. I've been loving the new cinema camera 6K full frame, and the ZR looks enticing as a travel. Yeah, look, I've shot. Yeah, I've been using the autofocus because I got the cinema camera 6K. Still one of my favorite images. It definitely it needs a lot of love. It needs a lot of love, but there's some moments that autofocus, it works nice. I've got a video that I got it finished. That I put the object tracking on a duck, and the duck was like in the pond, and it tracked the duck really well. But then there are some other situations. Maybe it's the lighting conditions. Maybe it's the focal length. There's some weird things about it. But overall, I think if Blackmagic continues to update, I think we're heading in the right direction. Do you think there's any chance that Blackmagic releases a cinema camera 6K full frame Pro with NDs, or a 12K Blackmagic cinema camera 6K full frame? Okay. Do I think there's a possibility that they'll do a cinema camera 6K Pro with built-in NDs? Yeah, I think there's a possibility. I don't, however, believe there'll be a 12K. Now, look, I could be wrong. I've been wrong about a lot of things when it comes to Blackmagic, both good and bad. To me, it's a power issue. It's a power issue. You need a lot of space and you need a lot of power to dissipate heat. Now, obviously, the cinema cameras, they got fans and everything, but you need a lot more power to input to utilize that 12K sensor, and I don't know if the body designs of the cinema camera, the pocket style bodies, are really meant for something of that power. So, just my 2 cents. The body matters. Hey, the body does matter. The body does matter. Exactly. Men of culture, we agree. I have enough small cameras. I want to go up a notch. Pyxis 12K red Komodo EX Eterna 5. Holy crap! That was the other thing that that was the other thing that announced. We totally did not cover the new red camera, which essentially is just the Red V Raptor with less frame rates and some other little features, but essentially it's the same Red V Raptors. There's just not as many frame rates, and there's I think it doesn't have certain codec options and certain other features that the V Raptor has. But I mean, but it's also what 15,000, which is obviously significantly less. So I mean, you got but. So, okay, so here's actually a question I would love. So, a Red V Raptor XE or a Fujifilm Eterna 55? Because they're both around the same price. Which one would you get? I have my answer. I would love to know what you guys answer, though. But yeah, we didn't even get to talk about it. But yeah, it's a nice little camera. But again, I always thought it's like they're just reusing the Red V Raptor just with limiting its features. But yeah, simple. Like I said, that's the main reason why I'm like so dead bent on getting the Pyxis 12Ks, because yeah, like I got small body cameras, I got these mirrorless style body cameras, they're great, but I want a camera that I want a camera for professional use, and I want it to be and that's the one that I want. But because I got the small body cameras, I want a one that I can spend maybe 10 years with, and that's what the Pyxis 12K is for me. Ball out and get at least get at least 2 HEKTORs. All right. If I actually was a baller, which I'm not. I'm not even going to front with you guys. I ain't no baller. All right. But if I was a baller, y'all can help me be a baller with some super chat. If you want to leave a super chat, or if you want to leave a super thanks, you can help me on my way towards being a baller. But in the meantime, if I was a baller, which HEKTORs would I would probably choose the 75, and I think, which were the ones? I think it was the 75 and the 20. Hold on, let me find the HEKTORs. Let me see what they are. So if I had to choose, I would definitely choose the 73. Sorry, I would choose the 73, and you know what? I would choose the 25. The 25 and the 73. It gives me something to play with, so I can get dramatic with the 25, and I can get personal with the 73. So those would be the 3 that I would choose. The cool thing is these Leitz lenses are hybrid for video and photos. Yep, that's also a nice, great thing. One thing I'm interested in the ZR, can we use Red Z to PL adapter? Use the Red Z to PL adapter. I don't see why not. Unless it has, I'm assuming it has to be bolt. There's like a bolt. So I don't know. I mean, but you can get a Z to PL adapter relatively easily, even if it doesn't work. So, Julian, I think the whole built-in NDs with Blackmagic is problem with the L mount. I think they just haven't figured out how to make it work with a mirrorless. Because again, Blackmagic is this is the L mount is their first mirrorless time working with a mirrorless camera. Well, no, that's not true. They work with Micro Four Thirds, but in terms of a large format mirrorless camera, the L mount is like their first. So, it may take some time for them to sort of engineer a design that can work. They just wanted to make a good quality camera, so that's why they came out with the Pyxis. If they had made the body slightly bigger, they probably could put it built-in NDs, but I guess they wanted to, it was a decision between size or having that. True. They need to figure out a better internal battery situation for the Blackmagic Pocket Cinema cameras. Yeah, I think, well, the way I look at it is that this is a problem that's not just Blackmagic. This is a problem that we're going to see a lot more with more camera companies, because everybody keeps putting trying to put these smaller bodies, which would mean they need smaller batteries, but they're trying to eke out more resolution, eke out more frame rates, eke out more processing powers, and higher dynamic range and higher bit depth. At some point, the engine gets overcooked, and there's only so much power that these tiny little batteries can hold over time, which is why I have been such a proponent of like the Inu power banks, because look, I can power the cinema camera 6K for like 4 hours. I can run the cinema camera 6K for like 4 hours on the little tiny batteries, and then like 5-6 hours on the bigger batteries. So, and those things are like anywhere between 66 and like $80 a piece, which shows just how great and powerful it is. But that's because, again, those batteries have very high milliamp power, so they can handle bigger charges, which is what a lot of these bigger cameras or cameras with bigger resolutions and more bit depth and all these other higher quality features that we want, but they keep cramming them into these freaking small cameras. At some point, physics just happens. Robert says, I don't feel like Blackmagic has the tech to put internal NDs. Essentially what I said. I was like, they're new to this. They're still working out on it. The Raptor XE over anything. Over anything. Okay. All right. I respect that passion, man. I respect that passion, King. Red, because it's currently more no. That I respect, and I think that's ultimately why I would say I was going to go with the red over the Fujifilm Eterna. There's a lot of great things, and there's a lot of interesting features that the Eterna has, but it's an unknown, and red isn't. Red is an established brand. It's a brand name, as Denzel said in American Gangster. It's a brand name. I can promise that. I can guarantee it. So and that to me is just like, at the end of the day, I run a business, and I need to make sure my business is running. I need to make sure I can pay my bills. I need to make sure I can take care of my family. And having something that's just more reliable is good. I may rent the Fujifilm Eterna for passion projects that may want to try it out, but I like consistency. So I'm totally with you. I'm totally with you, man. Global shutter for Robert. I feel you on that. I believe it's the flange distance. Yeah. Look, it's definitely could possibly be the flange distance, but my counter to that, Julian, is the fact that the L mount and the RF mount have the exact same flange distance. Yet Yet Canon has figured out how to put ND filters in the the RF mount cameras like the C400, the C70, and the C80. So, and also the the Sony E-mount lenses, the Sony E-mount cameras, they have a shorter flange distance than even the L-mount, and they have built-in NDs in them as well. So, I think it's just figuring out how to work with the system. That's more so. So Robert says, Sony and now Canon and Nikon should make Blackmagic design feel embarrassed to have a pocket in the name. Touche. Touche, good shirt. Touche. Hey, I've gone, how long has this stream been gone? I've been going an hour and 12 minutes without a cough. So that was a good run. But touche. I no arguments for me about that. He says, sell a registered bull and get something, just can't make up my mind on what. A registered bull? You got how many registered bulls do you got? Hey, if you got some spares that you want to help, pass along and send our way in terms of that we can offset too, then hey, send it down our way too. All right. I'm so happy that a new red came out and there still was an RF mount option. Yeah. You know what? I am too. Because I'll be honest, I'll hold my hands up because I know Robert's been following me since for well over for years now. So he knows that I was one of the ones that I was like, I believe that Nikon was going to start phasing out the Canon support like in the next 12 to 18 months. Well, it's been what? Well, it's been at least what, 14 months, I think, since Nikon acquired Red, or at least it's been at least a year since Nikon acquired Red. So they're still supporting the RF mount. So I will say that it looks like I may be in the wrong. So, and look, it's probably not going to be the last time I'm going to be wrong. So, but I'm also happy to be wrong, because that would definitely have sucked. Okay. We all need to get James the bag, because I'm sure more tech is going to be available to us in the coming months. I would appreciate it. I would appreciate a bag. I'm not going to knock it. Hey, look, I ain't going to knock it. Again, I appreciate all the support, but I've also been appreciating of the support that you guys have given me and continue to give me. And this has been a fun times. So I think I've finally caught up to, what's this? I'm having issues trying to delete posts. Oh, but I sell cattle as business number 2. Oh, okay. All right, cool. That makes sense. All right. So looks like I've caught up on everything, and we've essentially talked about everything that I wanted to discuss, which is cool. So I think, and I've actually made good time. I thought we were going to have to go longer, but I think I'm going to wrap things up. Again, it's been a great weekend. IBC has only begun, so I'm assuming we're just going to have way more stuff to talk about and stuff we're going to hear about in the coming days. So let's keep an eye out for that, and I'm going to definitely keep up with the content on that. I'm going to go try to rest up before we head out and go to the movies. But thank you guys for joining me this day, joining me on the stream. I, again, always appreciate your support. And I look forward to seeing you guys. I do this every week, Thursday, 6 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. At least I try to. If I don't, I will let you guys know. But until next week, thank you guys for watching. And until next time, take care, everyone.